Hey everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Happiest Hour on Earth. I'm your host, Chris.
And I'm your other host, Emily.
And it is so good to be back. Last week was a little crazy. We had Emily's birthday. We also went out on a trip by ourselves. Two
kids.
Parents in the wild.
Yeah.
It was so crazy. And so we were going to be doing a Disney topic tonight. However, we had such a cool experience down in Hollywood, down in LA, and we just had to talk about it tonight. I know you guys might be wanting some Disney topics. There is some Disney ties within this episode.
Probably sprinkled in a little bit.
Oh,
Not
for sure.
Like solely, focused on that, but
Yeah.
there are some ties. So
and it definitely
about it.
felt like a Disney experience.
It totally did.
Probably one of the coolest experiences outside of Disney that we've had in a very long time. I mean, maybe definitely in the top 5, like all time. I don't know. It was
a
amazing.
very, very Club 33-esque experience.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And this is something that I know Club 33 is extremely hard to get into. This that we're going to be talking about tonight is very hard to get into as well, but there is an actual way for, just people who are going to be spending some time in LA to get into as well. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about our experience. If this sounds like something is super intriguing to you, so if you like the idea of Club 33, Haunted Mansion, Hogwarts, all of that stuff, it might sound appealing to you. We cannot wait to talk about our experience at the Magic Castle in Hollywood. So much fun. We're going to give a little history behind it, and then just kind of talk about what it was like walking through these secret corridors almost and seeing some very special things. So now that we've played that up long enough, I'm ready to get into this episode. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so before we get started, if you're new here, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and that like button if you're watching on YouTube. Even if you're old here and you're not subscribed, go ahead and do us a favor. We're above 900 subs right now, so we're super close to 1,000. It'll still take a long time, I'm sure, but get us just like a little step closer. That would mean so much. But if you're listening on a podcasting platform, go ahead and click the follow button and rate us or review us 5 stars. That really helps out our show so much. Also, we have some links below if you want to save on some really cool things, and that goes to help our show as well. But with that, let's go ahead and get started. So this past weekend, it was a week after Emily's birthday. Yeah. My sister was like, hey, come down to LA. And my parents were like, leave the kids behind so you guys could just kind of enjoy. And so we went down there and she got us into 2 really cool experiences.
Yeah.
The first experience we went to this show called the Ultimate Improv Show. And that was really cool. It's kind of like Whose Line Is It Anyway, in a way. But it was in like a little small theater, which was really fun.
Yeah.
And Hurley from Lost, if you guys remember Lost, he was up there and kind of like giving the improv artists some prompts. So that was really cool. I grew up with Lost, so to see him was really awesome. And then Bobby Moynihan is on there, Lauren Lapkus, a couple other people that you'll know their faces and their work as well. But there's also in that theater, there was like one of the actors from The Office, like he had a smaller role in The Office, but he was like just in the crowd watching it. And then
like 2 seats in front of us.
Yeah, he was like 2 seats in front of us, and there was no one in between us. He was just there.
With his family.
He was there with his family. It's when Pam's in art school, she like has a friend over there, and he's kind of being like, hey, no, you should stay in art school, like all this stuff. So it was that person. And then a few rows in front of him was this actor. I don't actually know his name, but he plays Liam McPoyle in It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. So if you know that show, it's kind of a wild character in that. So that was kind of funny, just like sitting amongst a couple of celebrities watching like a hysterical show. It's really, really funny. We had a blast.
Yeah, that was really fun. That was a good start to our trip. That was the first night that we got down there, Friday night.
Yeah.
So it was definitely a fun start to the trip.
Hysterical show.
Yeah. Yeah. It was hilarious.
And they had like beer, wine, and popcorn. So with like popcorn toppings, like, you put M&Ms in there. Like this, it was just like a fun, funky, and hysterical environment.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed it. And then so we did that the first night. And then the second night was like the whole lead up to the Magic Castle. My sister had been taking magic classes there. She still is in one of the courses. I think she's
The
like
final,
on her fourth
the
one.
last one.
Yeah. And so she was like, hey, you guys need to get down here because I could bring you in. And so
while
we're like,
while she's in the classes, she's able to bring guests in. So we had like a limited amount of time because soon enough she's going to be done with the classes, and then unless she like officially becomes a member there, no more guests for a while. So
and we heard her talking about it and we're like, this is going to be so cool. Like we cannot wait. But when we went in there, like even exceeded our expectations. She kept saying like, I hope I'm not like hyping it too much. And when we walked in and experienced all that, I was like, oh no, this was so cool. So let's get into it. So what is the Magic Castle? Kind of reminds me of like Hollywood's Club 33, right? Like Club 33, it's in Disneyland. It's this very exclusive club, super, super cool. We got to go in earlier this year, thanks to someone that we know. Amazing, incredible experience. Want to go back sometime for sure. And so we had a blast there. But then this one was, it was kind of like LA and Hollywood's like private club. And it was so cool. So the Magic Castle, it's an exclusive private club in Hollywood for members of the Academy of Magical Arts. Ooh, sounds so cool. It definitely sounds Hogwarty.
Very, very
Hogwarty. But yeah, so they welcome in the Academy magicians and also just magic enthusiasts. But in order to visit the castle, you need to either be a member of the Academy or be invited by a member. And if you are not one of those, there are two other ways to enter the castle. And so one, you could either take classes like magic classes, sleight of hand, all that stuff, classes at the castle, and that gives you access to the club while you are enrolled. And so that's how we actually entered, because my sister, like we said, had been taking magic classes there. So you could take classes there and then you could audition, do like a whole set and hopefully become a member. And once you're a member, then, you can bring other people in. But so she was in the class period right now. And so we were able to go visit her and explore. But the other way that you could enter is by booking a stay at the Magic Castle hotel that's right next to it. So if you want to go that route, that's probably the easiest way to get in. You have to book directly with the hotel in order to gain access. Also, the club itself must have space available when you are visiting. So once you book your stay, you could call the hotel or the club to see if there will be availability during the date that you booked. If there isn't, you could cancel and book another time and hopefully they have availability. So you could book one night and that gives you access to visit. You just have to make sure, have those reservations and all of that. So kind of a funky looking hotel on the outside, like very old Hollywood-esque, but I heard the rooms are really nice. I also heard, what is it? Is it a, you could have like an ice cream cone or like slushy delivery to your room or something like that.
What?
It's some sort of dessert. I'm trying to remember, but they could like, you call them up and they'll like deliver it to your room. So kind of some really fun stuff there. But a little history on the castle. The building itself was built in 1909. So, over 100 years old, which is crazy. But it was converted into the Magic Castle in 1963 by Milt and Bill Larson, who were magicians at the time. And their father, William Larson, actually founded the Academy of Magical Arts in 1952. So Will Larson, the dad, always dreamed of a place where magicians could go, hang out, have some drinks, and talk about like trade secrets, kind of figure out, their best tricks and just like a safe space for magicians to learn other tricks and kind of boost their performance and all of that. So he unfortunately died in 1953. So soon after he invented the Academy of Magical Arts. But 10 years later, his sons, Bill and Milt, made their father's dream come true by opening the castle in 1963. So they knew their father always wanted this. And once he passed, they're like, we need to make this a reality. And so they talked to the owner of the home and they're able to, transform it into what it is today. And so inside this area, it's not just a cool speakeasy vibe, which like we said is very Club 33 mixed with Haunted Mansion. Hogwarts.
And Hogwarts, yeah. When
so
you said
Hogwarts.
that, I was like, yes, that's a perfect combination of what it felt like in there.
Yeah, it's so cool. So not only is it, a place where there's multiple speakeasy bars and restaurant and all that stuff, but it has 6 performance areas where you could watch multiple magicians perform. So over the years, there's been many people who have performed there, like Steve Martin. Oh my gosh, we're huge Steve Martin fans.
Him.
Johnny Carson, Orson Welles, Neil Patrick Harris, who was actually like a former president of the club, Penn and Teller, Siegfried and Roy, and more. So, and there's also, a lot of other members, I believe, that Dick Van Dyke has been one of the original members and still is a member today and likes to go and enjoy. So that's super, super cool. But we are a Disney podcast, so we had to talk a little bit about the Disney connections here. So Milt Larsen, one of the founders, was incredibly close with Richard Sherman of the Sherman Brothers, who wrote, some of our favorite music in Disney history. Milt and Richard actually hosted a radio show together, and Milt also served as a creative consultant for the 1971 Disney movie Bedknobs and Broomsticks. Also, which was really cool, you noticed it first, inside the castle, near one of the performance areas, there's actually a painting of Walt Disney in front of Sleeping Beauty's castle, and right next to him is Milt Larsen, the founder of the Magic Castle, standing in front of his castle. So it's kind of like the two inventors and their castles behind them. Super so cool.
I'm so excited when I saw it because there's so many like portraits hung up all throughout the castle. Like there's so many portraits and paintings and caricatures and so many things. And I was like just waiting to spot Walt somewhere. And as soon as I saw it, I was like, yes.
Huge painting too.
Be in here somewhere.
Pretty huge painting. It was so cool. I was like, oh my gosh, giving us all the Disney feels, because it totally feels Disney. But one of the coolest things is before the first show we went downstairs, you kind of like these small corridors and you're walking all over the place. But there was a Haunted Mansion plaque next to a theater, and I believe it was actually used in the attraction. But right next to that plaque is a working scale model of the Haunted Mansion ballroom scene. The whole Pepper's ghost effect, where you look into the ballroom and you see the ghosts dancing, but they're not actually physical. That effect is called the Pepper's ghost effect. And Yale Gracie, he didn't actually invent that effect, but he was the one who was like, oh my gosh, this is perfect for the ride. And so Yale Gracie, the Disney Imagineer who brought that up to the other Imagineers that they need to add that, he created a working scale model of that effect. And later on, since he was a member of the Magic Castle, he actually donated that to the castle. And so right next to it, you can press a button and actually see it work, and it's the original scale model. However, right when we were about to, we had to go in to see one of the performances, but I did find a little video on it working, and it's just really, really cool. So all that to be said, let's talk about what our actual experience is. Do you want to start us off here? I've been talking a lot. I usually get the history and the deep
he's good at that
here,
stuff.
But
my brain is not quite like up for that task at the end of the day.
Watching two boys.
Yeah. So leading up to our time there, we had to get ourselves ready, first of all. And it is definitely a like black tie affair type of place. I didn't quite know what to expect. All I knew based off of his sister telling us and his parents who have gone was like, kind of dress like you're going to a wedding. And so I just kind of chose a dress that I would have worn to a wedding. Everyone there was like decked out. Like going to a ball. Like it was pretty
need
fancy.
A suit jacket, definitely need a tie.
Like definitely a dress code. Like they will turn people away or like ask them to wear something that they have there if you are not dressed up enough.
Which is really cool, because as you're walking around the castle, going up and down the stairs and all the people there, it just feels so elegant. It feels so
elegant, and it almost
magical.
Feels like you've like stepped back in time.
To
a time when like that was the thing to do. If you were going out, you just dressed really fancy.
That reminds me of like we talk about Disneyland and how back in the days people would go to the hot park, but they're all dressed to the nines to go to a theme park.
That would be miserable. But
this was so cool.
Similar idea though, just like feeling really, really elevated. And
you never get taken out because someone's wearing like a stupid t-shirt or something.
Yeah, exactly. So we got very decked out, drove up, got, the valet to take our car, hopped in the line. It was about 5 p.m. when it opened. It was pretty cool just to like see this place that we had heard so much about when we pulled up. It's like up on this hill, just kind of right in the heart of Hollywood, basically. But so we hopped in line, waited for a short time and then got to go inside. So you check in, you're just kind of in this small room initially.
Where you check lobby.
In. Small lobby. And it looks like there's just like bookshelves all around you. Well, if you go just off to the left slightly, there's like a owl
Yeah, I think it's an owl like in a bookshelf. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you have to go up to the owl and say, open sesame. Then the bookshelves open for you.
Yeah. Just kind of like automatically slides over.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh my gosh. This is, and then you see how big the club is inside.
Yeah. So you walk in and immediately there's just this huge ornate bar kind of in the next room. But, you know, on either side of it, there's like stairs going up one side, like a, you know, a
going
hall.
Down.
Yeah.
Oh
it's
my gosh.
huge. This place was so much bigger than I realized it was going to be.
Yeah.
There's corridors, like he said, and stairways and hallways. And, you know, I would have
Thankfully, we were there with my sister who had been multiple times. Because, yeah, if I just went without knowing where anything was, they do give you a map. But our time would be a lot less efficient trying to just figure out where to go.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Crazy.
So good thing she knew where to go. They kind of knew who was going to be performing in what area, you know, because there's magicians that just kind of go all throughout the night. So they knew where to take us, which was cool. But before we got started on all of that, we, of course, had to grab a drink at the bar. So they have a lot of like, you know, just classic drinks that they make there that are specific to the Magic Castle. So I got one of those. It was a rum-based drink.
Yeah, I got the Neil Patrick Harris Old Fashioned.
Yeah.
Which is cool. Super good.
And there was like a gin one that was really good. There's quite a fun list of drinks there. But where we ordered it from, we had kind of walked around the backside of where we had first entered. And there's a small room with this piano that is named Irma. And it just plays song. If you tip her, you have to tip Irma, but it's basically supposed to be as if a ghost is playing the piano because no one is sitting there, but the keys move and any song that you request, she can play. Yeah,
that was the cool thing. And it was pretty quick too. You could just be like, Irma, play so-and-so. And almost immediately it's like, do-do-do-do, and playing songs. So that was so really cool. And we've heard from my sister, like a whole bunch of songs she's done. I think our brother-in-law requested one song. I forgot what it was, but yeah, pretty quickly it just kind of starts going. But a couple people came in during that time and requested, and she starts playing, which is super, super fun.
So then after we grabbed our drinks, we decided to head downstairs to see the first magician. It was someone that his sister had seen many times before. So she's like, we have to go see him. His name was Bob. And we headed down there. He was just like a bar magician. So there was another bar downstairs, and he's just like a bartender that does magic tricks during his bartending.
And it was cool because it wasn't just like a very busy bar. Like they let a few people in, and then once it kind of fills up to maybe 15, 20 people.
Probably around there.
Yeah, probably around there. So once that happens, he asks if anyone wants a drink. He'll make you some drinks, and like the curtains closed, and so like no one else could enter and like disrupt the show. And then from there, once he's done making the drinks, he gets started. Does some like really cool close up. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't recall every single trick that he did, but the very first one that he did, I actually got to be a part of. He called on me first because I was kind of like directly in front of where he was at the time. And he pulled a incredible trick on me.
Yeah.
I can't explain the whole thing, but basically I got to keep a very cool souvenir from it. Actually, the card that I had picked, he had drawn a picture of basically a deck of cards. Like he would turn it away, and then each time he turned it back towards us, something new had appeared on the picture. So he kept doing that and be like, whoa, what? Like everyone was freaking out. And then for the last one, he hadn't revealed which card was like inside the deck of cards that he drew.
We did see it like kind of peeking out every time he would flip it over. But then this part just blew me away.
It was like just barely peeking out of the top of the deck of the cards, the drawn deck of cards. And then he flipped it over and was letting everyone watch. And in front of our eyes, the drawn picture of my card started moving up.
So it was literally like he drew it with a Sharpie, and then he was just letting us watch it. And the card on it was just popping up. And then he gave it to Emily, and we were feeling it. And it's just
it's literally like a Sharpie on here. How did that like move out of the box? So I got to keep that picture that he drew, which was quite a cool memento. And I still cannot for the life of me figure out how he made that happen.
Yeah, it was incredible. He he did a couple tricks with me too. That was definitely like the craziest. He did some other like tricks with like his drink, and I just didn't know how he did it. Like he poured this drink into like a martini glass, and then he flipped it over and it was stuck like that. And then he brought like a little bucket, and all of a sudden it just like dropped out all the liquid.
He had like a paper covering it first, as if that was what was blocking it, because he had it upside down. And then he pulled the paper away and it stayed in there.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And then, I don't even know what he did.
He just brought a bucket over, and then it just released right into the bucket. So crazy. That guy was amazing.
It was insane.
It was so cool. But then, so after that show, where did we go? And that bar was called like the Hat and Hair downstairs, which was awesome. And then from there, we went up to, I think, the biggest stage in the castle. This was the Palace of Mystery. And so we were actually supposed to see this guy named Justin Willman, who has a show on Netflix called Magic for Humans. He was going to be the magician that night in that performance center, in that hall.
What inspired your sister to get started in magic?
Yeah, because she loved that show, and that's kind of what made her start. And so we were so excited to see him, but apparently I think something came up and he wasn't able to go. And so that was a bummer. We did see like a fill-in show that was more kind of like a
kind of slapstick.
Yeah, kind of slapstick,
comedy.
But magic intermixed too. They were really great. They were really funny and everything. Yeah. So that was cool. We actually found out that the night after we went, Zooey Deschanel and her husband from the Property Brothers, I think, was actually at the castle. They posted that picture, and I think they saw that same show. So I was like, oh, we missed them by one day. But after that, we decided to go down further stairs from there, and I feel like it was like multiple stairs. We saw
so many.
A show down there. There's like a bigger bar down there. That bartender was also doing tricks. We missed that. But my sister's like classroom was down there too. We didn't get to see it, obviously, but we saw another show down there. And then I think by that time it was 8 p.m. dinner. So we had like reservations, and that was like so cool. Like the whole dining hall, it almost felt like you were invited to the ballroom at Haunted Mansion. Yeah. Surrounded by magic, and you're sitting there and enjoying a really nice meal.
Yeah, totally. It gave me those vibes so much, and very much Club 33 or like Carthay Circle or something. So good.
The food was incredible. Truffle fries. I had like a really nice pasta dish.
Yeah.
You had a really good chicken dish too. I did. But yeah, that was amazing. So that was like at 8 p.m. And then from there, there was so much that happened. We were literally there from 5 p.m. to about like 1 a.m. 15 in the morning. We don't do that anymore because of our
And I was definitely dead by the end of the night. I was so tired, but it was worth it because it was such a cool experience.
Yeah. I think we went to this one area soon after that where they actually allow magicians. I don't even know if you have to be a member. You might have to be a member, but even if you're not performing or scheduled to perform, it's almost like a open mic. So you go up and you sign yourself up for a time, and then you get 20 minutes. And so you would expect that to like not be that good because people are just signing up and they're not an official performer, but he was incredible.
He was so good.
He did some that blew me away too.
Yeah.
But then after that guy, we saw our favorite of the night. Oh my gosh, we went into this like close-up magic room. I think it only holds about 26 people. And this guy who was there, his name was John George. And I think he's done things with Disney before.
Yeah. We also followed him on Instagram, and he said like, he's like a Disney magician.
Yeah. So I don't know like what.
He's done events, and I would imagine maybe he's been on cruises or something. Thinking, I don't know.
He also is like a key performer at this one magic restaurant in Maui, which I don't know if it's still there anymore because it was in Lahaina.
Yeah,
it was in Lahaina.
And
it was this very popular show. And when I say he blew us away, I mean like he fit so many tricks in his time that he had. And every single second we were just like screaming in amazement. Yeah. It was so good.
Was perfect, spot on. Everything about his entire act was like it was so natural. It's like he has done it so many times. Everything was perfect. I wish I could like explain how much he blew us all away. The entire room, everyone was like in a trance from like how amazing his tricks were.
Trying to explain all that went on is just it won't
not
do
even
it
worth
justice.
it. Like you have to just see it to understand. I mean, Just go follow him on Instagram. I don't.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, follow him on Instagram, John George.
Posted.
I don't know what it was. So crazy.
Yeah,
it was literally our minds were being blown like every second. So
second.
That was absolutely amazing. And then by then we were like, should we just end it or should we go to the last theater? And we went to one more theater. And we saw this magician from Britain, and he was really good too.
But also, once you get to that point in the evening, a lot of the crowd has gotten quite intoxicated most of the time. So there was just a lot of loud people in there, kind of like throwing off the vibe a little bit. Yeah, unfortunately, but you know, everybody was having fun. So that's really what it was about. But that was the last one of the evening, and
hearing his story was really, really cool too. Yeah, he did a trick that I was involved in too, and that was amazing. But yeah, he grew up in England and he always loved magic, and people were like, you know, magic's so lame and all this stuff. And then he heard about the Magic Castle, like a place where people actually try to get in to enjoy magic and all this stuff. And he was like, I need to make my way over there and perform there. And so I think that was his 5th time performing. And I think he still lives in England and everything. I could be wrong about that, but it was just really, really cool. And seeing his tricks were amazing. So overall, it was the wildest thing. It just blew me away.
Yeah, it was definitely up there on the like top experiences we've had, I think. Yeah. It was just so like everything was just so ornate and extravagant in there. And like, you know, the whole experience was just so much fun. Like from getting dressed up and feeling like we were walking back in time to just the way everything looked. Yeah, it felt like you were
exploring. Like that was the one thing, is that like you're not just going and like sitting and everything and watching shows. There's so much to explore. So literally it felt like you're walking around in the Haunted Mansion.
Yeah.
Or Hogwarts, totally did. Up the hallways and seeing, there's like even some paintings that had like, you know, eyes that would look at you. Like there's certain things that you would miss, but it was just.
But it did feel very Haunted Mansion. Like almost like you were in the queue for Haunted Mansion.
But you were like living it out. Yeah. Getting to do things. Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. It was quite an experience. And, you know, we're very thankful that we got the opportunity to go, because
for sure
it can be very hard to get in. It's kind of, you know, not quite the same as Club 33, but you know, you definitely kind of need to know someone to go.
Yeah. Unless you do the hotel stay. So if that is something that sounds really interesting, definitely book it that way and see if you could get in. But yeah, and just go right when it opens and just enjoy your time there. Yeah. You know, kind of stay as long as you want. But it was such a cool experience, mixing entertainment, exploration, food, the speakeasy vibes. It was just so amazing. So so fun. So yeah, like we said, we were going to do a Disney topic this week, and we will next week. So definitely follow along so you don't miss that. But we just were so giddy coming back from this weekend. Yeah. And getting to experience that we're like, we need to chat about it, because it definitely felt Disney vibes. But all that being said, we just wanted to say thank you so much for listening in this week and just for supporting our show. It really means so much. But with that, I guess we will catch you all next week for another episode of the Happiest Hour on Earth. We'll see you then.
See you then, guys.
Bye.
Bye.